So hey guys, and here we are for the next part in the F1 Manager Minardi Manager series. Now this is the part of, well, this season which I think everyone's been looking forward to. It's my driver announcements for the next season, you know, the 2001 season. Now let's just head straight on into this, and now loads of people in the comments actually correctly guess my driver number 1 for next year. That's a fairly obvious one if you've been watching this series, as my driver number 1 is Mika Häkkinen. I know I don't feel like I need to explain myself, but here's why anyway. Well, last season he was surprisingly dropped by McLaren in favour of Giancarlo Fisichella, and despite that he still won the 1999 Drivers' Championship earlier on this series, with a race to go, and then even at the last race, by which point he already won the Drivers' Championship, he ended up finishing that race 18 points ahead of Michael Schumacher. So in short, he had a fairly dominant season last season. So in short, he's one of the few drivers on the grid who has proven to be faster than Michael Schumacher. And basically, that's why I got Mika Häkkinen. Then moving on to my driver number 2 next season, which many people did actually guess, it's David Coulthard. Now, why did I get David Coulthard? Well, if you backtrack to the 1999 Austrian Grand Prix this series, and David Coulthard won the race, despite the fact both Michael Schumacher and Mika Häkkinen finished as well, so neither of them retired, yet David Coulthard outpaced them to genuinely win the race on his own merit. So there again, that's proof that he is quicker than Michael Schumacher and quicker than Mika Häkkinen, even only on the odd occasion. And obviously he helped massively for McLaren to win a Constructors' Championship last year. And even this season in the Benetton, he won the Spanish Grand Prix against all odds, and that's a feat which his teammate Jean Alesi hasn't even come close to doing in the same car this series, which shows just how quick David Coulthard is, at least compared to Jean Alesi. Now I've called him one of the 3 best of the rest drivers this season, behind Michael Schumacher. And those 3 drivers have been Mika Salo in the Minardi, who's done fantastically, Ralf Schumacher, who again has done very well in the Williams, and the other one is David Coulthard in the Benetton, and arguably David Coulthard has the worst car out of those 3. And that shows that he is truly worth the seat because he is on par with Mika Salo at least. And we've seen how good he's been this season. Now finally, I saw no one in the comments correctly guess my test driver for this season. Now I'm a little bit surprised by that because, I mean, who else could it realistically be other than Luca Padoa? Now I was reading a top 10 list of the top 10 worst F1 drivers, and he was 8th on that list. Now if you've watched this series, you'll know why he isn't. No. Yes! Hang on! Oh no, hang on. No, that hasn't changed at all. Got Schumacher first, Irvine second, Barrichello third, Johnny Herbert fourth, Takaki fifth, mesmerising to be honest, and Padoa 6th. We've got nothing to worry about, and hang on, don't tell me Padoa's going to lap Diniz. This would be an absolute mick take. He is coming up to lap him because, yeah, Diniz is definitely behind us. This is taking the mick. This is, how on earth are we about to lap a Sauber? There we go. That was beautiful. 5th place in the Minardi. The only people who beat us was Häkkinen, Ralf Schumacher actually, surprisingly, both Benettons, and that's it. And he's now coming around the last corner, and Padoa, he's already got the record around Malaysia, but he's going to absolutely smash the F1 lap record with a 1:56.8. That is a Minardi record there. Olivier passes up an engine failure. We're almost in the points. We just need one more retirement. But is it going to happen? Yes, it is. Luca Padoa's in 6th. He's going to get 4 championship points. Oh, that's brilliant. We just need a finish. We're going to finish our laps. Come on. Yes. Luca Padoa, you've been brilliant for us this season. The one race that you outpaced Marc Genet is the one of the few races that we scored points. And Luca Padoa has got 4 championship points. That actually might have put us ahead of Sauber. That should have put us ahead of Sauber. We've gone up from 9th to 8th in the Constructors. And Luca Padoa comes 14th, just behind the former world champion. And why on earth Padoa's getting a test driver role next year is beyond me. So the team that set the fastest lap time in Catalonia this test day was Luca Padoa in the Ferrari, Obviously, the former Minardi driver who scored 4 points famously for Minardi has now gone to Ferrari to be their test driver, and it's crucial the fact that he is a former race driver in these cars, because that could have given them an advantage, which is why Ferrari tops the timesheets. Although the fact that Ferrari top it by 3 seconds in comparison to their nearest rival, it does look like Ferrari might dominate this season. And now with that experience he has got with this season's Ferrari, which could possibly be one of the quickest cars we see this entire series, he'll be able to use that experience to help us build a Minardi which is at the very least equal to this season's Ferrari. And if he can do that, then we're on to a winner next season. So even if you think he's still a crap driver, for this reason alone, he's proven his worth. And really, you know, I'll say my goodbyes to Damon Hill, Mika Salo, and of course Owen Green come the end of the season. But for the time, you know, that's the future. But for the time being, we've still got 3 more races this season with Damon Hill, who's been a great driver, Mika Salo, who's been fantastic, maybe driver of the season actually. Actually, no, maybe Ralph Schumacher I'd say is, and Owen Green, who's been there for us. So yeah, we got the, you know, and now we got all of that out of the way. Let's try and speed through the rest of this episode so we don't make it too long. Italian Grand Prix, team's home race, should play to our advantages. The Mercedes-Benz engine, long straights. This should play to the car's advantages massively, and really well. I'm looking forward to it, but before that we gotta get through a couple of weeks worth of news, so I'll cut and see if we actually get any interesting news. Okay, so we have got some news. So now Prost, they've been rumoured, I skipped through, they were rumoured to have AP brakes, they've been rumoured for all sorts of brakes. Now Brembo brakes are rumoured for, so we just have to wait and see when that comes to light, because that is like the hot topic seemingly at the minute in the press. But Williams have confirmed Gabriel Tredozzi is their chief designer. Now, Gabriel Tredozzi, obviously our former chief designer back in '99, and obviously we're still using his chassis this season because Neil Oakley only joined us start of this season. So we're still using his chassis this season, and as much as I like Gabriel Tredozzi, I really do like him, his chassis is the weak link on our car at the minute. Everything else on our car is pretty much perfect, apart from our test driver, but every component on the car is pretty much perfect. It's his chassis which is really low rating in comparison to everything else. So as much as I like Gabriel Tredozzi, and as much as I'm really glad for him to go to another top team, you know, along with Massimo Cusimano, who's also there, so both Minardi boys are going to reunite. As much as I like him, and as much as I like the idea of Massimo Cusimano and Gabriel Tredozzi uniting again, I don't think it's going to do Williams much good, unfortunately. But obviously he won't be designing next year's chassis for Williams, it'll be the season after's. So 2002 may not be a strong season for Williams, but I'm really glad to see Gabriel Tredozzi still working in F1 and with a top team as well, so I'm really glad for him. Even though it's a bad move for Williams, it's nice to see, and yeah, I'll cut on to any more news. Okay, so we got a new components deal for Prost. This is going to be the brake deal, which has been rumoured for ages, I'm guessing. Yeah, Brembo brakes, okay, well that's not at all interesting. They've picked the worst brakes they could, and really Prost are just... they're not going to go anywhere, I don't think, next year. Well, they've ditched Peugeot engines, I think, and they've gone for Ford Zetecs, I think, from memory, so Prost, if anything, are going to be worse next year, so interesting future for Prost, because I think it's going to look quite bleak. Stefano Cesarin rumoured for Williams F1, obviously he was a stand-in driver for Minardi in real life for the Brazilian Grand Prix, I believe, so he's rumoured to be joining Williams. I think that would be driver number 1, actually. I know they've confirmed their driver number 2. Obviously, you can check this in the description. I think driver 2's confirmed, Ralph Schumacher. I don't know if they've confirmed their test driver. It could well be for their test driver. Benetton confirmed Stefano Cesarin. Oh, as driver 2! Okay, wow. So Stefano Cesarin is going to get a permanent race seat for the first time this series. Should be interesting to see how he does. I'm going to be interested to see how well he does, because obviously stand-in for Minardi in real life. I am actually going to be interested to see how well he does in a half-decent car. And Benetton confirmed Bruno Jonquera as their test driver, so I can't remember if they've announced their first driver yet. Obviously, again, you can check this in the description. But I think I can't remember their first driver if they have announced it off the top of my head, but they've gone for 2 cheap young rookies, Bruno Junqueira and Stefano Cesaro. I forgot for a second. Bruno Junqueira, though, I'm pretty certain he's been a test driver for someone else this season already. I can't remember who, but it won't be his first time. It won't be his first time. Wherever Bruno Junqueira at Benetton, and then Stephen Watson's rumoured to be at that position at Williams, whichever one's free. Okie dokie. And let's just, I don't know if I'm going to bother cutting, because I think there's just news all the time now. Williams confirms Stephen Watson as their first driver. Wow. Controversy here. Williams genuinely believe that Stephen Watson is better than Takaki, and we haven't heard anything about Takaki. Obviously, I did actually confirm him as my test driver, and then Takaki performed so poorly in the San Marino Grand Prix and the ones before that. He performed so poorly, I scrapped him as the test driver. And I don't know whether Takaki's going to have a future in F1. That's a really sad day, actually, because Williams have replaced him with someone who I think what Williams have done, amazingly, is I think they've replaced Takaki with one of the few people who could actually be worse than Takaki. I mean, Takaki's not bad, but Stephen Watson I really think will be bad, so seemingly Williams, they just do not know how to sign a decent first driver. Minardi underperformed in '99. Takaki is pretty much underperformed this season. Stephen Watson almost certainly will be. He will underperform next season. And wow, what can I say? Mastercard backs Benetton. Okay, so that's interesting. They've moved from Jordan to Benetton. So that's an interesting one. New front wings and rear wings. Okay, I'll just get onto manufacturing these, or just cut this out. Williams confirmed Luciano Berti as their test driver. Wow. Okay, that's an interesting. One, he's moved from Stewart, as you can see there. He was Stewart's test driver, and now he's going to be Williams' test driver. Now, the thing I find weird is, just going off the top of my head, I can't confirm this. I can't definitely say this, but I would reckon that Luciano Berti is a better race driver than Stephen Watson. What I would have done if I was Williams is I would have got Luciano Berti as the driver. Well, what I really would have done is I would have got Ralf Schumacher as the driver 1, Luciano Berti as the driver 2, and Stephen Watson as the driver 3. No, as the test driver rather. So instead they got Watson driver 1, Ralf Schumacher driver 2, which I suppose doesn't matter too much, and then Luciano Berti is a test driver. I think they should swap around Stephen Watson and Berti, but well, I mean, Luciano Berti's moved from Stewart to Williams, so I suppose from his personal perspective, that's it's a slight upwards move, I suppose. And Benetton Sports Systems have gone from Benetton to Williams, I believe they sponsored for a time. They're now sponsoring Sauber, so God, if I had some free ad space, I would have taken that up. Okay, so now we're going to have to look out for the Sauber and see the Benetton Sports Systems sponsor on that. Good. Benetton Sports Systems really, as a company, confuses me. They really do. Well, let's just skip on from that, really. Oh, that's it. So the race, as I said, Italian Grand Prix, the team's home race, so this is vital that we have a decent performance here. Same for Ferrari. Ideally, for the home crowd, if you can have a Ferrari 1-2 and then Minardi 3-4, that would be ideal for the tifosi. I'd like to see it the other way round, Minardi 1-2, Ferrari 3-4, but I mean, this track relies more on engine performance than any other track in the calendar, apart from Hockenheim maybe. And we've got the best engines on the grid. Ferrari's engines are only slightly worse, but we've still got that slight advantage, and really, I think we could maybe, if Michael Schumacher retires, has some car failure, we can challenge for the win, definitely. We've got the engine to do it, we've got the improved aero parts to do it. I reckon maybe we could win this. So let's see how it goes. So the qualifying has just ended here at Monza, and really there are some interesting bits of news we can take away from this qualifying, even if it's not for pole position, because pole position for the 14th time this season in the 14th race is Michael Schumacher. He's continued his form of pole position for every single race. As long as he can do that in Malaysia and Japan, then he will have taken pole position for every single race this season. Just behind Michael Schumacher is Heinz-Harald in the other Minardi, and Damon Hill in the other Minardi is third, so it's an all-Italian top 3, and in fact actually an all-Italian top 4, as Neil McEwen was able to up his game to get into 4th, but amazingly wasn't able to be quicker than both Minardis, showing how the Mercedes engine has helped, but crucially how the performances of both Heinz-Harald and Damon Hill far outweigh that of Neil McEwen. Then in 5th and 6th you've got the two drivers who are often regarded as best of the rest behind the Ferraris, is Ralf Schumacher in 5th in the Williams and David Coulthard in 6th in the Benetton, who's recently been confirmed to sign for Minardi next year. Takaki in the other Williams is 7th, who's actually set a decent performance after recently discovering that Williams won't be renewing his contract for next year. Sean Lacey in the other Benetton is 8th with Eddie Irvine 9th. Johnny Herbert in the only McLaren to set a qualifying lap time was 10th. That's because Fisichella, for some unknown reason, wasn't able to set a lap time, and so we're in the unusual position where the car numbered 1 wasn't even able to set a lap. Jarno Trulli is 11th, Jacques Villeneuve 12th, Wirtz is 13th with Barrichello down in 14th. Redon is 15th in the other BAR, with both Prost, Diniz and Zonta 16th and 17th. Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the woefully underpowered Ford Zetec engine is all the way down 18th unsurprisingly, with Zanardi the last person to set a lap time in 19th. Now as previously mentioned, Fisichella wasn't able to set a lap time for some unknown reason. Marc Genet didn't set a lap in qualifying, much like in practice, because the Arrows have run out of engines for his car, but seemingly between practice and qualifying, Arrows used up their last engine, as Della Rosa wasn't even able to set a lap in qualifying, and that means that Arrows' season is officially over if they can't start the race tomorrow. So here we are for the strategy for the Italian Grand Prix, a one-stop strategy. And now this is quite weird actually, because I've just commentated the commentary for the Italian national F1 video, which has already been out. So, you know, if you watch that series, you would have seen it. But it's really weird because I think I did a two-stop strategy on the F1 2015 National F1 Championship, and now they're doing a one-stop. It's quite contradictory, to be honest. But that's what Mike Gascoigne says, because it's relatively low tyre wear. Well, I can tell you, mate, in 15 years' time is quite the opposite for me. In the Williams anyway, not in the Toro Rosso. Don't know how the Toro Rosso did. I can't even remember, to be honest. Poorly, from what I remember from that race. But yeah, anyway, yeah. But yeah, Michael Schumacher first. Both Minardis just behind. So really, as long as Michael Schumacher retires, that's basically all we're hoping for, is a Michael Schumacher retirement. Otherwise, it should be an easy race, although obviously these laps were set on risk everything, so that's always a worry. But Neil McEwen's consistency, it hasn't been the case in the last few races, but in the first half of the season, Neil McEwen's consistency in race pace was all over the place, so hopefully that'll be the case then. Ralf Schumacher, hopefully we can fend off. But anyway, yeah, let's just stop talking about it. I've done the worked out the fuel, fitted brand new parts, which for a brief second I thought I forgot there. And let's go. Actually, I want to find a Sauber. Where's the Benetton Sports System? Is it on the side? I think I can see. Yeah, I can see the green on the side. Come on. Well, okay, the grid's got away in a very interesting way. Wirtz, I want to see the sponsor on your car. Well, you can see the green right by the airbox. Jesus Christ. Hang on, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Benetton Sports Systems. Yes, there we go. That was beautiful. So Benetton Sports Systems on the Sauber there. Let's actually head back to the interesting part of the race. Oh, there's the Arrows off. We just saw it in the gravel trap. Here we go. Della Rosa is off. Actually, I wonder what's happened to Fisichella. Is he here? Has he made up a places? Is he off? But Della Rosa is off in the gravel trap. Now we just got to wait for Marc Genet, who unfortunately will be in a similar position. It's quite sad to see a former Minardi driver in this position. Ricardo Zonta first. What? No, hang on. Ricardo Zonta actually is first. How's he done that? Whoa, okay, Marc Genet. Let's see this former Minardi driver. Quite tragic to see him in this situation. Just slid, really. I think he just wanted to just retire in style. But that's officially the end of Arrow's season. Well, when he stops. I mean, is that ice or something? Have they greased the track? Anyway, Ricardo Zonta's in first, or he was in first. I have no idea how Ricardo Zonta was able to make up that many places. Michael Schumacher's got past, though, I believe. Okay, that's quite worrying. Okay, so I think, I have no idea how Ricardo Zonta's been able to do that, but he's clearly cheated. That's all I can say. We didn't even get past Zonta, worryingly. I think we will. I hope so. Wait, now do we get past? If it's just going to show us endless replays of us attempting to pass, but not act... No, I think we did get past. Okay, so Mika Salo's passed. Now we just need to hope that Damon Hill gets past Rapido, and then we can build up a gap to everyone else behind. Trulli's in 4th. How's he done that? Shauna Lacey's in 6th. Where's Ralph Schumacher? Where's David Coulthard? 8th and 10th. Neil McEwen's dropped down as well. Fizzy Keller's in 11th. What has happened to the start of the Italian Grand Prix? What on earth has happened? Where's Damon Hill? Please tell me he gets past soon. We've already had 2 retirements by the first corner. Is that Damon Hill? Why is he behind the Stewart? I really do not understand what's happened. Was he behind the Stewart? What's happened here? Now we've just been passed by Benetton. Oh my Christ. Going into Ascari. We won't even find out what happens. Jacques Villeneuve's been cheeky. He's taken a couple of places going into Ascari. Good for him, because really, at the minute, it just seems to be a free-for-all where everybody is completely disobeying the rules. And there's Fizzy Keller, I think, stuck behind. What's happened? Okay, so we're behind a Benetton. Whoever that is, we're stuck behind a Benetton. Jean Lacey, of course, that'd be. We got past Zonta. Okay. Neil McEwen's got past easily as well. Who's this? Is this? I think this is Ralph Schumacher. No, don't let Ralph Schumacher pass. Whoever that is in the McLaren, don't let him pass. He's let him pass. Great. Fair enough. It says on the graphic, Salo and Damon Hill were in 2nd and 3rd. Well, no, because there's a Benetton there. What's happened? I've already seen the Sauber sponsor. Jesus Christ, what's going on there? This game, it's kind of broken, but it's broken in such a way. I really love it. It's the funniest thing in the world. I mean, what am I looking at? I'm looking at a Prost sponsored by Winner F1. That's weird enough in itself. Let's just skip on from that. No, Jean Lacey's still in 3rd. Okay, right, so both hours have had engine failures. Their season is over now. Neil McEwen is going to be a tough one to work out what to do here. Zanardi's driver error, well, as I said, he can't put a poor driver in 99. What's happened here? Is that Michael Schumacher? What's happened to Michael Schumacher? He's retired. Driver error, no way. Oh my god. Michael Schumacher for driver error. We could win this. We could get a 1-2. We've never had a Minardi 1-2. I didn't think we were going to get a 1-2 until 2001. But I think we might get a 1-2 now. We got to worry about Ralph Schumacher. Lots of people have actually commented saying you should be more aggressive with your drivers. You know, you should tell them to push more. You know, and preempt when Ralph Schumacher is going to pass you. And you know what? I think they are absolutely spot on. We've got to tell Damon Hill to push like there's no tomorrow. And he's going to have a driver error if we tell him to push for too long, so I'll keep a close eye on that. But at the minute, it looks like Ralph Schumacher might well retire, because there's been so many retirements. Who's that? Both Prosts are out. Neil McEwen's out, so the tifosi are now entirely relying on us to do well. I don't really know if I kind of want that pressure on me, but we got the entire tifosi, they need us, because Neil McEwen and Michael Schumacher have both individually let themselves down. And Damon Hill, even though he's on push, has been passed by Ralph Schumacher. Oh no. The problem is we've told Damon Hill to push for a long time. Actually, I think Ralph Schumacher's pitted in. Actually, if they're doing a 2-stop, that's good, because that means we had more fuel than them, so they naturally would have been quicker anyway. I really don't know what's happened.
So now, has Ralf Schumacher jumped us in the pits? I'm kind of a bit confused, but we're catching up to him, so I won't do anything. Yeah, we'll catch up to Ralf Schumacher very quickly. No one else is really going to challenge us, really. It's a three-way scrap for the lead of the race, to be honest. Jean Alesi's in 4th, but I don't think he'll do anything. I mean, Jean Alesi's ahead of David Coulthard, so even though I was saying David Coulthard far outperforms Jean Alesi, that's not the case at the minute. Ralf Schumacher's now close to Mika Salo. Okay, I'll give it a few more laps. Hang on, what's happened to Ralf Schumacher? A bargeboard failure, yes! We can now just cruise home, because 56-second buffer between Salo and Jean Alesi. Right, we could just tell both our drivers we could tell them to ease off for all I care. As long as we don't have a car failure, we could get a 1-2 for Minardi. A 1-2! We've had a win before. We've had podiums before. We've never had a 1-2. We've never really come that close to 1-2. Imola was the closest, really. But, You're kidding. A suspension failure? And suddenly all hopes of a Minardi 1-2 are going to be dashed until 2001. Great. Okay, but still, I mean, fair enough, okay. Suspension failure, that is really properly unfortunate. Johnny Herbert's 14 laps behind Mika Salo. Gianni Trulli's 13 laps. What on earth has happened to Trulli and Herbert? They're not even going to be classified finishers, are they? They're too far behind. Wow. Well, really, I don't really know what to say anymore. We had a Minardi 1-2. That's been dashed, unfortunately. But, so, the 4 cars tifosi were rooting for. The firm favourite, Michael Schumacher, driver error. His teammate in the only other dominant car, out. Then you just got Damon Hill, suspension failure when you're going for 2nd. And now Damon Hill, there's a massive gap in the Drivers' Championship, and to be fair, something went wrong there. I don't know whether that was Mike Gascoigne's fault, probably, because hasn't been the best technical director for us. But anyway, Mika Salo's going to cross the line to win the 2000 Italian Grand Prix, and the tifosi are going to love that, I think. I really hope so. There you go. I really hope the tifosi love that, because it's not a Ferrari win, it's not a Schumacher win. It's not even a Minardi 1-2, but it's a Minardi win. And we finished, I think, a minute ahead of Jean Alesi. Yep, 57.8. 57.8 seconds ahead of Jean Alesi. That's going to be one of the biggest gaps between 1st and 2nd ever in Formula 1. You never get gaps that big between 1st and 2nd. That has been, I think, one of the most dominant performances in Formula 1 ever right there from Mika Salo. And in the team's home race. And there's a lot of positives we can take from that, even if we have got the negative of Damon Hill's suspension failure, unfortunately. But maybe it's because we told him to push for about 8 laps. Maybe that's why. Maybe put too much stress on the suspension. But regardless, Mika Salo wins the Italian Grand Prix. Jean Alesi 2nd. David Coulthard in 3rd. Takaki in 4th. Vizzy Keller came from last, or right at the back of the arrows, to 5th. Fantastic performance to him. Jacques Villeneuve in 6th. Jarno Trulli, the unlucky guy. Well, I say unlucky, I don't know what's happened between him and Herbert, but we damn nearly had a driver claim a point when they were 12 laps behind. That really would have been the headline, I think, come out of this race. Well, I mean, that was a more interesting race than I ever thought it could have been. Lots of talking points there. Arrows, Ferrari, Salo, Hill, Herbert and Trulli. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What a race. And it's a win for Minardi. It's going to give us 3 million prize money. It's going to make Salo look really good in the Drivers' Championship. He might actually be 2nd, I think, in the Drivers' Championship. Minardi win at Italy, Monza. Perfect. That's perfect for the team. What can I say? Look at that. That's what I want to read every day. Well, that's fantastic race report. It should just say, fantastic race. Well, we got a ton of money from that. God, we're rich. Yeah, Yeah, heavily worn, yada yada yada. Actually, speaking of which, we should replace Damon Hill's suspension part. Yeah. Well, I think... So Heinz-Harald had a suspension failure last race, and now Damon Hill's had one this race. That seems to be the weak link. We'll have to tell Mike Gascoigne about that. Neil Oatley telling us Jordan have the most advanced barge boards. Well, I didn't really see that this race. Well, Jordan, where have they got that from? Ah, of course, they've got Rory Byrne. That's where they got that from. Well, what a fantastic race. Let's just have a look at the standings. Yeah, Heinz-Harald in second, just 1 point ahead of Ralf Schumacher. So, of the best of the rest, Salo seems to be the best of those. So, well, what can I say? Fantastic, fantastic race. Damon Hill could have been up there. You know, he could have been. Well, he would have been the best of the rest of the rest, because he would have overtaken Johnny Herbert, but wasn't to be, unfortunately. Constructors' title wins second. I think 6th place is pretty much guaranteed, actually. I believe Ferrari, have they won the Constructors' Championship? Oh, yeah, in fact they have to. Because even if we get a 1-2 in the next 2 races and they don't score any, the unlikely circumstance of that, they would still win. They would still win on a race win count because they won far more races than us, and they win on an alphabet. So Ferrari, in the best place possible at Monza in Italy, at their home, they've won the Constructors' Championship. So Ferrari, 2 races early, they've won it. So the championship's kind of over for them. I don't know why they should bother turning up to the next 2 races, other than to just win loads of races and get loads of money and fame. Other than that, I don't see why they should bother. But no, our 6th place is guaranteed. We far exceeded where anybody thought we would. Unless anybody thought we'd win. But I don't think they did. Well, I mean, in testing, we came 4th. Well, I mean, Stewart came in 3rd, and look what happened there, so... And McLaren came in 2nd, and look what happened there. But then again, they did have Olivier Panis as their test driver. Highest rated manager, it seems to be flicking between me and Jean Todt. I don't know if I deserve it more than Jean Todt. But Jean Todt's obviously... I mean, he's won the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship. That should be just automatic, he should be number 1. So also, I remember, saw a documentary today, or no, a few days ago rather, about Group B Rally, and how Jean Todt basically made Peugeot the unstoppable force for a while on Group B Rally. So, I mean, I don't have that kind of track record with turning around Group B Rally teams. He does, so... To say I'm rated better than him is a very big statement from the game, but there you go. Anyway, the next race is the Japanese Grand Prix, not the Malaysian Grand Prix, because that's the last race. But the Japanese Grand Prix, we finished in 6th there last season, and we really ended the race on a high, because there was that battle with the Prost, Olivier Panis, I remember that race, and it ended up just happening, like, in the last few laps, it so happened that Olivier Panis retired, and we moved up into the points. It was quite a magical race for us. Hopefully we'll have the new front wings and rear wings there, because we really need it for this track, but I'm looking forward to that race, really. I don't think it could beat this race, but still, I'm really, really looking forward to this race, and we'll just have to see how it goes. So, I'll see you for then. So, I'll see you then.